Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and taking a deep breath, but something feels wrong. The air is still there. The sky is still blue. The birds are still singing. Yet every breath contains less oxygen than yesterday. At first, nobody notices. Then athletes begin collapsing. Airplanes struggle. Wildfires die out. Fish start suffocating. And within a single year, Earth's oxygen levels plunge by a staggering 80%. Humanity's greatest resource isn't water. It isn't food. It's the invisible gas you're breathing right now. What would happen if it suddenly began disappearing? Let's travel through the terrifying year when Earth slowly runs out of oxygen. Earth's atmosphere normally contains about 21% oxygen. Now it has fallen to 19%. Not enough to trigger panic, but enough for scientists to notice. Hospitals begin reporting unusual symptoms. People feel tired more often. Mountain climbers experience altitude sickness at lower elevations. Athletes break fewer records. Pilots report minor performance issues. The average person simply blames stress. Nobody realizes civilization has just entered the most dangerous year in human history. Oxygen levels continue falling. 17%, 16%, 15%. The effects become impossible to ignore. Cities begin recording increases in dizziness and fatigue. Workers struggle with physical labor. Emergency rooms fill with patients suffering headaches and shortness of breath. Children and elderly people are affected first. Governments launch investigations. Scientists confirm the unthinkable. Earth is losing oxygen, fast, and nobody knows why. Global stock markets plunge. The world watches anxiously as the numbers continue falling. At around 13% oxygen, aircraft face serious challenges. Jet engines depend on oxygen to burn fuel efficiently. Commercial airlines begin canceling flights. Mountain communities become nearly uninhabitable. Millions migrate towards sea level. Meanwhile, oxygen-starved engines lose power. Transportation slows worldwide. Supply chains begin breaking down. Store shelves become emptier. For the first time, people begin asking a terrifying question. Can humanity survive this? The atmosphere and oceans are connected. As oxygen disappears from the air, less dissolves into seawater. The oceans begin losing their breath. Fish rise toward the surface, searching desperately for oxygen. Mass die-offs appear along coastlines. Entire marine ecosystems begin collapsing. Fisheries shut down. Coral reefs start dying. The world's largest food source enters a death spiral. The oceans that once sustained life are slowly becoming biological deserts. Something strange happens. Wildfires begin weakening. Campfires become difficult to start. Industrial furnaces struggle. Even simple flames burn poorly. Fire needs oxygen, and oxygen is disappearing. Factories dependent on high-temperature combustion shut down. Steel production collapses. Cement manufacturing slows. Modern civilization, built on controlled fire, begins grinding to a halt. Ironically, the same force that once powered humanity is now becoming impossible to sustain. At roughly 10% oxygen, agriculture enters crisis. Many crops struggle under the changing atmospheric conditions. Farm workers can barely perform heavy labor. Harvests shrink dramatically. Transportation networks are failing. Food shortages spread across continents. Supermarkets become empty. Governments ration supplies. Prices skyrocket. For billions of people, hunger becomes a daily reality. The oxygen crisis is no longer a scientific problem. It is now a survival problem. Oxygen levels fall below 8%. Large portions of the population require supplemental oxygen. Portable oxygen tanks become as valuable as gold. Entire cities build emergency oxygen centers. People spend hours waiting in lines, simply to breathe. Schools close. Businesses shut down. Sports disappear. Daily life becomes a struggle against the atmosphere itself. Humanity begins creating oxygen-supported shelters. The world starts to resemble a giant life support system. The oxygen concentration approaches 6%. Most large animals cannot survive without assistance. Bird populations crash. Wild mammals disappear from vast regions. Insects suffer massive losses. Ecosystems unravel. Predators lose prey. Food chains collapse. Extinction spreads across the planet. Earth enters one of the greatest biological crises since the age of the dinosaurs. Life that took millions of years to evolve vanishes in months. 1 year after the crisis began, oxygen levels reach only 4.2%. The atmosphere still exists, but for humans, it is no longer truly breathable. Stepping outside without oxygen support becomes deadly. Most transportation has stopped. Many cities stand silent. Survivors gather in sealed habitats supplied by massive oxygen generators. The outside world becomes hostile, not because of poison, but because of absence. The absence of the one thing every human needs every few seconds: air. Yet humanity does not completely disappear. Scientists construct enormous oxygen production facilities. Underground cities emerge. Sealed communities become self-sustaining. Children grow up knowing a world where breathing requires technology. Civilization survives, but Earth is transformed forever.